So let's discuss the last ascendant, which is
Yes.
the Pisces ascendant.
Yes. So for a Pisces ascendant, the first lord and the 10th lord in the 12th house. So anybody looking to go abroad, I think it's a good, very good time frame. So you're looking at on-site opportunities, or you want to relocate to Singapore, Dubai, and those kind of things. Relocation in terms of work is also a very,
Because 10th Lord in the
yes,
12th house.
10th lord in the 12th house. So anybody looking at spirituality kind of pursuit is also fantastic, because first lord in the 12th house. It's a very good time frame to explore and then work out with spirituality and those kind of things. Any filmmaker, it's a very good time for a filmmaker, because
Creativity, first house.
creativity and those kind of things, it's fantastic opportunity. Anybody to do with medical research, anybody to do with hospitals, anything to do with the cops, police, anything to do with movies, cinema making, and the hotel industry, especially restaurant industry. This particular transit is very good for this particular Pisces ascendant.
Okay.
So you want to look at visits to monasteries and those kind of things. It's a very good time frame.
Got it.
So from another fourth house, fifth house aspect, it aspects Gemini, which is the
Yes.
fourth house. So you can look at peace of mind, in terms of having a good, happy kind of a life, kind of a transit.
Buying a house and all of
Yes,
that.
buying a house. You can look at purchasing property.
Vehicles.
Vehicles, large vehicles and those kind of things are a good. It's a good transit from that perspective.
Okay.
And from a Leo aspect, that is the sixth house aspect. If you are looking at debts, taking loans for houses, it's a transit. It's a good transit from that perspective. But you need to careful. You need to be careful from the amount of debt that you're probably
Taking on.
looking at taking, because the probability of getting a much larger debt is very high.
Right.
From
Than
this.
what you need.
Yes. And it's a good time frame to establish a good relationship with people, good relationship with friends, family, relatives, and those kind of peoples, because it's a very nice transit, so that you have a very decent and good kind of relationship, kind of a thing.
Also, service related, anything related
Yes,
to job.
so from a job perspective, your sixth house is getting enriched. So when sixth house sort of gets enriched, it is like the workplace, you are reasonably happy in that particular workplace. So that sort of a transit flavor comes out in this particular transit. So again, eighth house aspect is also there. So you're looking at sudden changes in terms of wealth. So you need to be reasonably careful from a wealth perspective.
Okay.
So sudden changes in terms of wealth, or it can be positive as well as negative. So it depends on how the Jupiter is placed in your chart kind of.
Okay.
So overall, it's a fantastic time frame to look at abroad, look at business from abroad, look at creativity, and enrich your 12th house investments and those kind of things. It's a very good transit from that perspective.
But it has to be done quickly in the next 5
Yes,
months.
it has to be done quickly in the next 5 months.
So let's conclude with a sectoral analysis of where the Jupiter transit is positive based on the different sectors.
Yes.
So maybe let's start sector by sector. Let's start with A, which is the automotive sector, and then you can take it from there.
Yes. So automotive, it's a revolutionary change, because it's from the fourth house, it's the eighth house, right? So there is some revolutionary changes in automotive, EV and those kind of things. So those kind of changes are expected. So in terms of, again, fourth house aspects, if you see real estate, from a real estate perspective, sudden changes and more money inflow onto the system. So from fourth, again, it's the eighth house. So again, more money into the system.
What about agriculture?
Agriculture, again, it is we talked about rains, excess rains in this particular transit. We talked about some incidents which relate to water and those kind of things. So from that perspective, agricultural sector, in terms of water flow, it is fantastic. In terms of yield, it's a sort of a neutral kind of a thing from that perspective. So in terms of cosmetics, food industry kind of a thing, it's a very good transit. So that particular industry will sort of flourish in this particular thing.
Technology.
In terms of technology, again, it's a flourishing thing. E-commerce and technology is again 1 year of, or rather 5 months of, there is a flourishing which is seen in terms of thing. The next transit may or may not be reasonably good. but the current transit seems to be very
Good
good
from
for
an
a
e-com perspective.
e-com perspective, yes.
Right.
Because it's 11th house of money, right? So a
Right.
lot of money coming in
Ah.
into the system is sort of indicated
Okay.
from a technology perspective.
Got it. And what about our industries like freight costs and all are like gone
Yes.
through the roof, right? Like
Yes.
that,
Yes.
like logistics, transportation.
Yes.
What
So
about
logistics, transportation, again, it is 8th house aspect. So enough money coming into the system, lot of more people getting involved in that particular industry,
Sector.
in that particular sector. So we would
Right.
have noticed, a lot of companies like delivery and all that, they're looking to hire about 1 million kind of people.
Right.
So a lot of people getting involved in that sector is sort of seen. Similar to automobile sector.
Right.
Revolutionary change and a lot of people getting involved in that
In that particular sector.
industry and this system
Okay.
kind of a thing. In terms of commodities, it is a fantastic time frame for gold. So any metal, it's a very very good time frame. So we are directly, it's so bullion is sort of directly indirectly related to the stocks. So and also our inflation, GDP, and those kind of things. So from that perspective, it is a very good time frame for the economy as a whole in terms of money flow coming into the sector kind of a thing.
Mining.
So mining again, it is a neutral thing. So from a mining perspective, it's from a broad perspective again, it can be taken as a fourth house land kind of a thing. So something sudden changes in terms of mining kind of a thing. So from that perspective, so eighth lord can also be positive. It can also be neutral.
Okay.
So from that perspective, mining sort of relates to a reasonably neutral kind of.
I think last
sector.
could be like healthcare, pharma.
Yes. So healthcare pharma is again from a abroad perspective, there seems to be good.
Okay. So exporting vaccines.
Exporting vaccines and those kind of
Medicines.
things. And then in terms of from an India perspective, indigenous sort of development and those developments being exported abroad.
Okay.
So those kind of activities are a lot of. It's a very good transit from a healthcare industry as a whole. But the skewness is towards being neutral. Although ideally in this time frame, healthcare and pharma should be in a boom.
Yeah.
But from a skewness perspective, it seems to be skewing towards a neutral thing, not very flourishing kind of a thing.